Until this moment, you have not known suffering!
Welcome to MojoPlays, and just like the ship of Theseus, these studios are shells of their former selves and may never be what they once were ever again.
I am summoning you as a new age begins.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Xbox Game Studios.
If you knew how you were going to die, how would you live your life differently? How would you live your life differently?
Is this an Xbox? Is that an Xbox? Yes! The youngest console brand on the market, Microsoft and the Xbox instantly made a name for themselves with games like Halo, Forza, and Gears of War. But after the wildly successful Xbox 360, they stumbled out of the gate with the Xbox One and have never recovered.
Fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360, that's your message?
Despite numerous acquisitions of big-name studios and Game Pass, Xbox Game Studios hasn't become a name synonymous with quality. Big-name studios under the Xbox banner have been routinely shut down, while legacy franchises are shells of their former selves. And the studio The Initiative, which was formed specifically to rival Sony's first-party output, hasn't put out a single game in almost a decade, and even needed Crystal Dynamics to help them get the Perfect Dark reboot going. It's no wonder everything is an Xbox now, as that's basically the only way Xbox can survive these days.
Is everyone trying to kill you?
It kinda seems like it.
Gearbox.
Darkness washes over the land. Dun dun dun. The Dragon Lord has returned!
Gearbox is a studio that has had no shortage of controversy over the years. Whether it was the blatant mismarketing of Aliens Colonial Marines, or their severely outspoken and controversial founder Randy Pitchford, players have been slowly distancing themselves from Gearbox for years. And it's not as if their games have been really pulling players back in either. With titles like Battleborn, the revived Tales of the Borderlands, and Tiny Tina's Wonderlands all failing to find or maintain an audience, Gearbox only has the mainline Borderlands series to fall back on. Borderlands 3 was a substantial drop in quality when compared to Borderlands 2, with completely forgettable villains that failed to make an impact the way Handsome Jack did, as well as a how do you do fellow kids kind of humor that immediately fell flat. Even the hype around the upcoming Borderlands 4 is virtually non-existent outside of only the most die-hard fans. Warner Brothers Games.
That little sword's good for a tickle, maybe, but you're gonna need more than that to take me down.
Warner Brothers Games should be one of the biggest producers of hits within the industry. With access to countless licenses of beloved properties such as DC, Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, and Lord of the Rings, Warner Brothers Games are sitting on a goldmine of ideas, but routinely sabotage themselves with their own greed. Despite successes like Hogwarts Legacy, WB Games has leaned hard into live service, microtransaction-heavy titles and essentially destroyed any goodwill their properties might have had through name recognition alone with their insanely greedy, boardroom-approved tactics. Something like the incredible Nemesis system should have been included in a myriad of their titles and represented a new and exciting mechanic for the industry. But instead, WB Games patented it, used it for 2 games, then shut down the studio responsible for its creation, locking out any further implementation. Corporate greed will be the death of creativity.
From here on out, I will be your shadow. No one gets to you without my say-so.
Don't worry about my enemies. They will all follow eventually.
Ubisoft.
Thanks, but I'm smart enough to get myself out of trouble. You pay the tax just like everyone else.
It's been quite a tumultuous time for Ubisoft in recent years. Beyond the controversies and accusations of harassment within the studio, Ubisoft hasn't put out a single hit game since Assassin's Creed Valhalla, with even big names such as Avatar and Star Wars failing to pull in prospective players. The simple fact is that Ubisoft isn't interested in making games anymore, and has become complacent with recycling content inside of safe, recognizable franchises and titles. Standouts such as Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown were given almost no marketing push and failed to find an audience. Ubisoft itself routinely attacks gamers for pushing back against their lack of innovation and overuse of the Ubisoft formula, while continuing to put out broken and buggy games ad nauseum. Recent financial failures such as Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows are evidence enough the formula has grown incredibly stale and generic. Players don't equal sales, Ubisoft.
So, where do we go next?
Anywhere we want.
Rocksteady.
No more hope. No more Batman.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Rocksteady was once an industry juggernaut, especially after their Arkham games, with the series' highly influential combat mechanics becoming an industry standard and the definitive Batman experience for millions of fans. And yet, all that goodwill the studio earned with its fans immediately fell off a cliff with the reveal of Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League. While initially intriguing due to its premise, reception quickly soured the more gamers learned about the title. A multiplayer-focused, live service, battle pass, and microtransaction-laden game felt more like something designed by committee rather than a group of passionate developers. The fact that studio heads jumped ship during development wasn't a reassuring sign either, and naturally the game was met with universal disdain from fans who wanted another single-player experience from the storied studio. Now, almost no one is even remotely excited for the studio's next game.
Oh, you know what? Hold on a sec. Hello, Brainiac? Is it happening now? Great.
Bungie.
Conform, comply, return. They just wanted to show us disasters. Observe, connect, conceal. I'm not human anymore.
Bungie became a household name with the Halo series defining the first-person shooter genre on consoles. But after 5 Halo games, the studio set out to make something new and embrace a new destiny. Initially, reception to this new venture was mixed, as while the shooting was as solid as ever, many ideas were half-baked, and the usual Bungie lore was almost non-existent. Bungie stuck with it, however, and turned the series around, only to run it into the ground once again. With constant changes to game mechanics, an overabundance of microtransactions, and each subsequent update feeling less substantial than the last, Bungie and Destiny's fan perception has been less than stellar. With news of Bungie revisiting the Marathon series that initially gained the developer recognition, fans' expectations were once again on the rise, only for them to reveal yet another generic extraction shooter wearing the skin of the Marathon franchise.
They forgot that they need us. But they are fated to remember. I will remind them.
Nintendo. Once one of the most beloved game companies in the world, Nintendo has repeatedly taken all that goodwill and spit in the face of its many dedicated fans. Routinely sicking their team of lawyers on fan creations as a show of force, Nintendo's once family-friendly image has been replaced with one of corporate greed and manipulation. Alongside bumping the price of games up to $80 for no reason, Nintendo has attempted to copyright every game mechanic under the sun, and has even targeted its biggest competition in Pal World for embarrassing Nintendo and Game Freak for their failure to innovate on the Pokemon franchise in years, suing the developer for copyright claims they only patented after Pal World became a success. Die-hard Nintendo fans will continue to buy all the re-released games at premium prices and defend the company, but the larger fan base is slowly beginning to turn on the gaming giant for its completely anti-consumer practices. Square Enix.
The power we wield, it wears away at our very being. It breaks us, it unmakes us, that its immaculate aspect might reveal itself.
Square Enix was once one of the most successful producers of hits in the industry. Franchises like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and even Tomb Raider and Deus Ex made Square Enix millions in sales and profits. However, enough is never enough, and Square Enix routinely called these games underperformers, even selling off studios and IPs they deemed unworthy of meeting their ridiculous financial goals. And instead of lowering their expectations and leaning into these successful IPs, they instead turn to NFTs, live service games, and expecting only the highest of highs from games that they themselves would routinely sabotage with greedy, microtransaction-heavy practices. These days, nothing is good enough for Square Enix, and they've canceled numerous projects fans have been hoping for, while also shutting down studios that suffered from their own poor decisions.
Wow! Just look at it all. It's so green. Even after everything we've done to it, it's still going strong.
It may look that way, but in reality, it's barely hanging on.
Bioware.
They're a bust. We need to find more resources, but that takes people, and we can't wake them up. Now more than ever, we need a Pathfinder.
Bioware was once the undisputed king of Western RPGs, but now the company's entire future might be in jeopardy. Renowned for classics such as Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, Mass Effect, and Dragon Age, the company has struggled to rekindle that Bioware magic and hasn't released a title worthy of note since Dragon Age Inquisition in 2014. Failures like Anthem and Mass Effect Andromeda have turned fan reception against them, while the recent release of Dragon Age the Veilguard made it very clear this is not the same Bioware that crafted some of the most beloved RPGs of all time. With multiple studio heads and developers leaving the company either of their own free will or due to downsizing, BioWare's future is hanging by a thread, and even the upcoming Mass Effect 4 might not be enough to save the company from its inevitable but also self-inflicted fate.
You came a long way and made a valiant effort, Varric, but this story does not end with my downfall.
Naughty Dog.
Because of her, they were actually going to make a cure. The only catch. Sweet Jesus.
Doctor? What are you doing in here?
It would kill her.
Once regarded as one of the highest profile studios in the industry, Naughty Dog has floundered under its new leadership this entire generation with no signs of things turning around. Not only has the studio not released a single new game this entire generation, they have re-released both entries of The Last of Us multiple times within the same console cycle. With a canceled live service game and only one new and original game seemingly planned for the PS5, which might not even release this generation, Naughty Dog is running on an unsustainable model. While the company has IPs they could easily revisit, such as Uncharted, Jak and Daxter, or even something new, Naughty Dog is instead spending 7 years or more developing a single title, which needs to be a massive hit to keep up with this ludicrous development cycle, and fan sentiment is already turning against the studio no matter the game's quality.
I'm wasting my time, aren't I?
Which video game studio do you no longer have any hopes for? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.